blackboard बाद में कॉपी कर रखना। To take the second year English, and today yesterday we were doing the dialogue writing. So today I can explain to you how to go about writing note making. By that, word by word. To just take down the important point, and that is how note making gets to be written. Another thing regarding this, you should remember that when anyone writes, draws a diagram, they start to get full marks. Like suppose a teacher has given you a assignment where she has asked you to write up, say, advantages and disadvantages. Immediately, you get two types of script. In one script, the child has written beautifully, giving lots of points with the advantages and the disadvantages, but they may be so. Students, I'm here back to take the second year students English lessons. And yesterday we had done dialogue writing, and I had explained the steps that you have to go in writing dialogue writing. Dialogue writing, two situations are given, and you have to remember to put yourself in that particular situation and carry on. It is very easy, but there are some lapses noted, and yesterday I had explained those lapses made by the students frequently. It's regarding, say, a situation is given between conversation between a doctor and a patient. You are writing everything step by step, but when it comes to saying after the doctor gives the prescription and everything, the patient just says thank you and walks away. This you should remember. If you were in that position, first thing that you would do is pay the doctor his fees. So this must be asked. So when you are writing it, be sure to mention what fees to be paid, doctor. Second thing that you should remember is a situation where you are given, a customer is given a defective apparel. Apparel means clothes. So remember, first thing you should understand the meaning before you go on to write, because once I got a dialogue where the child has mentioned it as a bag. So the whole dialogue goes wrong. So when you are writing any situation, a given situation, you should put yourself in that particular place and carry on. So now regarding note making also, you should remember that a passage is given and the passage does not have a title. What is most important is the title. Remember this. In note making, a passage is given based on a theme. You can say the theme, or you can say based on a particular topic. So what should you do? First thing you should remember is a title. This carries mark. A title must be written. So remember, children, this is very, very important for the simple fact you stand to lose marks if you don't write the title. Second thing, a diagram. When a teacher gives you an assignment, say advantages of this or disadvantages of something, you may write it in a paragraph or you can prepare a table. You should understand a table fetches you more marks than writing it in a paragraph, because a table, a clear-cut idea is given at sight. So the examiner stands to give you full marks. So always go in for a diagram. I'm not saying the others won't fetch you marks. They also, you write headings, subheadings. You can write. But just imagine, if you were an examiner and you got two assignments from students where a child has written beautifully the introduction, she introduces the product, whether it is a TV or a computer, then she writes the side heading advantages, mentions several advantages, then writes a subheading disadvantages, write a few disadvantages. But another girl draws a table with saying advantages and disadvantages. Just imagine if you were to correct that, at a glance, you get to see everything. And such work will fetch you full marks. So always go in for a diagram than rather writing. And remember, no paragraphs. When you say note meaning, it must be points. Notes here means points. Separate the points and write it. It needn't be only a table. You can draw in different ways, a web diagram, a tree diagram, but remember the title must be written. Like say, hobbies is given. You give the title hobbies and then just draw. Children, my drawing is not good. Draw just like this. with different hobbies mentioned. You don't have to write pages and pages. Just this gives you at a glance, the examiner knows that you are, sorry, the title here will be hobbies. So immediately the examiner understands you are talking about hobbies and have given different hobbies. You can write singing, reading, watching TV, like this. In bubbles, you draw and write the different hobbies that you have, which usually are famous among the popular among the students. So in this way, you create a very good impression. Like I've already told you, as per the IP marking scheme, senior inter, because you have descriptive, section A is completely descriptive. In section C, also 5 the units are descriptive. So you stand to lose 7.5, 5 plus 2.5, 7.5 marks. Yet students are getting 98, despite the board's marking scheme, yet students are getting 98. This is only because when they create a very good impression, you stand to get full marks, that is 4, rather than. So however nicely you write with headings, subheadings, you don't get all full 4 marks, but maybe 3.5 marks. So always go in for a diagram, write neatly, present it well. You can draw neatly and color it also if you have the time. Remember, your don't waste a lot of time since your paper is very, very lengthy. Just draw the diagram, finish others. If you have the time, revise your lesson and then get back to the drawing. Then do the drawing so that not to waste time. So this is one thing that you should keep in mind, children. One thing, a title is a must. A title should be written, and remember, it should be in points. Points. Never write in complete sentences. Complete sentences shouldn't be written. You may wonder how. Make use of a semicolon, a hyphen, for you to complete that sentence, for the person to understand what you are going to write. And never write in paragraphs. Paragraphs, immediately it will be struck off. Marks will not apt, they write, not correct, and they will lessen the marks. So all this you should keep in mind, children, when you are writing note making. It is easy for you to secure any marks, more marks, when you go about writing everything neatly. Okay? So remember, note making, first thing you have to remember is title. Read the passage carefully. Okay, first you have to read, no? him through the passage. Him through the passage carefully, because you should understand the important points. Okay. Second thing you should do is scan for important details. Points you can say, or you can say details. Okay. Next thing you should remember is immediately the title. When you are reading the passage in the paper, if you have a highlighter or even with a pen, you underline it. Remember, you cannot use red and green pen. You can only use blue or black. So since the print is in black, it is easier if you do it with blue pen or even a pencil. Okay, underline the important points. Otherwise, since it's a rule that you cannot write on the question paper, make a note in the answer sheet. Draw a line margin on the right hand side. Note down the important points. Remember, children, don't waste time rubbing it. And neither do you have to prepare a rough draft. Just put down the points there and then elaborate it. So first thing, remember, because this is a common mistake made by the children, a title is not given, and when title is not given, automatically marks are deducted. So it's important for you to give the title. Next is think of a diagram. This I'm talking to the betterment students who want to get good marks. Try to come up with some innovative ideas. You can have a table, a tree diagram, a flow chart, bar graph if needed, but mostly you can have brainstorming or web design, anything. Come up with a nice diagram and write it, present it. When it comes to supplementary students, I wouldn't ask you to waste a lot of time. If you cannot come up with a diagram, you can always use headings and subheadings. Okay? Headings and subheadings. Another important thing that you should remember is don't number them. If you don't number them, how means bullet points. Use bullet points. I hope you know what bullet points are. You can use a dash, you can use a small arrow, or you can usually bullet points, that is better, or even I wouldn't suggest you to draw that arrow, bullet points. Bullet points. Okay? Don't number them. Next, when you are writing subheadings and everything, it should be appropriate. Under that, you give a heading, highlight it, and under that, using bullet points, write the points. Points to be written. Points to be written. If the points are very lengthy, break it up. Make it another point, but don't write complete sentences. And remember, the most important thing is never write in paragraphs. Like I've told you, when a boss dictates a letter to his secretary, the secretary is not going to write the whole details what the boss is dictating. It's impossible because they go very fast and you cannot catch up with them. How do you go about writing it? Picking up the important points, you make note of it. That is what note making is. Writing in points, brief, break it up, but don't write complete sentences. Like I said, make use of semicolon, colon, commas. Sorry, not, yes, you can use commas. More than anything, the hyphen. When instead of writing conjunctions, auxiliary verbs, all this, don't write complete sentence. This is very important. When they say note making, it is taking notes. And like I said, when you think of a diagram, diagram carries lot of marks rather than writing in point form with headings and point form. It doesn't fetch you full marks. If you want full marks, go in for a diagram. So I hope you have understood this, children. Note making is very easy. First thing you should do is read the passage. One thing good about the IPE exam is nothing unseen comes. Though we have comprehension, unseen passages, all the passages are already there in the textbook. If you read from first page to the last page, you will be perfect. The only thing is most of the children depend on their notes and they don't read the textbook. There are hardly, I think, 7 passages. So just especially betterment students, out of the 7, at least 5, because there's no choice in note making. You will get only 1 paragraph, and that paragraph passage will be from your textbook. So those who are writing betterment, it is always better for you to practice all those 7 exercises given in the textbook. I think they are 7. So be thorough so that when you get the passage, it just takes you a minute for you to skim through to understand. You have already practiced. You already know what type of diagram you are going to draw. So you will not be wasting any time. And those who are writing supplementary, if you cannot come up with a diagram, no problem. Only thing, remember, you cannot write, many children write paragraphs. This is wrong. When they say note, you cannot write even complete sentences, leave alone a paragraph. You will lose marks immediately. No one will give you marks. They just put 0 and say wrong or not apt, not correct. But whatever it is, you'll get a big 0. So if you want to get good marks, you need to come up with a diagram. Just break it up into notes. Give, first thing, remember, give a title. The passage will tell you about one theme or one idea. So based on that, whatever it is, write the heading, then give the subheading, and under that, give bullet points, different points, 2-3 points under each subheading. At least minimum 2 points under each subheading. And like I said, don't number them. It is essential that you shouldn't number these points, but you make use of the bullet points. I hope this is clear for you, children. I've initially already taken a class regarding note making, so it should be understood by you by now, if you have listened to my lecture. Now coming to the last, that is description. In description, there are 4 types of description. Describing person, one. The second is place. Next is a thing. And last is a process. When you describe something, in this, usually they are giving hints. Hints are easy for you to elaborate. But remember, children, here there is a restriction. If hints are given, all the hints should be written. You should make use of all the hints. You cannot even leave out one hint that is given. The order can change, but hints should be applied. Like I told you, a person, you go to a supermarket and a thief holds everyone at gunpoint and picks up the money from the cashier and leaves. So when you are asked for a description, you can't blindly say he is tall, thin, wearing jeans and a jacket and everything, because in this, in your state itself, there are 101 tall, thin person with wearing jeans and jacket. The description should be very, very apt. It can be even persons whom you love. When you describe your mother, how she is, she has long curly hair, lovely brown eyes, a very gentle look on her face. All this should be written. If the hints are given, it should make it easy. If the hints are not given also, it should be easy. Now coming to a place, usually they'll give you hints. Place, you have never been. There is a very famous landmark like Gun Park. You are from Hyderabad, most of you. Have you ever heard about the Gun Park? Where is it? Can you tell? It is very much in Hyderabad, and this due to the separation of Andhra and Telangana, many students lost their lives. In commemoration, they are martyrs. They fought for their state, the fight between Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. And that's why the Gun Park was made at the public gardens. You must have heard of public gardens, but many children were not aware of the Gun Park. Likewise, the statue of equality, all this were made during the reign of KCR, statue of equality. That is also very much on the outskirts of Hyderabad. This statue is one of the tallest statues, and it is made out of 5 metals. The hints will be given, but they are very ambiguous. Like, what height is the statue? You don't know. Just write, take some fictional number. It is supposed to be a very tall statue. Sitting statue with his hand held up, eyes are gleaming, and all the description is given. It's very much there in your study material. Go through it. You needn't by heart it, but you will pick up the important points from them, and you can write it very easily. Y'all are Hyderabadis, and these are 2 latest monuments of Hyderabad. So definitely you will get a question from them. So be sure to read the material and get that idea. You will get certain hints, but the hints like what is the height? Unless you know the height, you don't know. What material is it made from? Like I said, 5 metals: gold, silver, bronze, zinc, and copper. All this you should know, children, and that's why I'm telling you all this. But when it comes to describing a process, there are certain things that you should keep in mind. Process writing is written, all these are written in a paragraph. But in process writing, you have to use sequence markers. This is very, very important. Sequence markers. What are they? With every sentence that you write, you have to give a marker. Like you begin with "at first" or "first of all." After that, what do you say? The next sentence you can say with "next," "later," "after that." So this is how, after all, you write not more than 8 sentences. So when you write this, begin each sentence with a separate sequence marker. Just like yesterday when I explained verb patterns, I told you B forms, they are 5. And you have to write 4 sentences. Already one comes as a model. An example is given, so 1 B form is used. There are still 4 plus 4 negative. So use any one without repeating it. Remember, especially those who are writing betterment, you should create a very good impression in the mind of an examiner. If you write the same thing, you can expect you will not get full marks. So like I said, sentences are not, usually you are not given full marks, but only 3.5. To create a good impression, you use different sequence markers. Like I've given a few. After that, also you can write meanwhile, simultaneously, simultaneously, then last you can write at the end. Finally, all this can, anything can be used, but it should be correct. Like simultaneously, two things being done at the same time. I gave you the example of making tea. While tea is boiling, you can arrange the tea cups. So when you use one of the sequence marker, you should use the appropriate sequence marker. When you are saying something, doing something, and simultaneously you cannot do anything. So it should be adequate. So remember all these points, children. Whenever you write process writing, like making tea, preparing a bouquet, the process, when you give, the order should be correct, and each sentence begins with a marker. And to highlight them, underline them, so that at a glance, the examiner knows that you have written all the markers without repeating it. So there's one more. Next also you can use, then also you can use. So like this, use different markers, but don't repeat them. So I hope you have understood, children. In description, you have 4 kinds of description: persons, places, things, and a process writing. Only in process writing, you have sequence markers. Giving the description of person, places, you needn't use the description. So in this way, you can, again, in process writing, there is a choice. So whichever is easy, which you think you can come up with a nice, writing it nicely, please do it. So after the lecture, please don't just leave it. I have asked you, go through your book. Everything will come from the textbook. So note making has 7 or 8 exercises. Go through it, come up with, because in your study material, there are no diagrams. There are no diagrams. There are only headings and subheadings. Try to come up with an innovative idea, because like I said, you need to score good marks. Those who are writing betterment, a diagram fetches you more marks than just writing it in detail. So with this, I shall end my session.